please.
Sure. Councilmember Redding.
Here.
Councilmember Zeter.
Present.
Councilmember Morgan.
Here.
Councilmember Andrus.
Here.
Councilmember Galloway.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hands.
Present.
And Mayor Byrd.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Michaela. If you'd join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 4A, approval of the regular council meeting agenda for June 24th, 2024. So we have one amendment already. Is there anything else that?
There's actually been a second minor amendment to the agenda. The number for 11B4, that total was incorrect initially, so it has been corrected on the printed copy in front of you as well as the addition online.
Did you say 11E4?
11B.
Oh, B4.
Yep.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't have 11E4.
So I'd make
Gotcha.
a motion to approve the agenda with the changes to 11B4 and the addition of 11E2.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item 5A, approval of the study session minutes from June 10th, 2024 council meeting. Changes there? If not, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Item 5B, approval of the regular meeting minutes from June 10th, 2024 council meeting.
I move to accept the minutes as presented. Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And moving down to item 8, public hearings and adoption of ordinance. 8A, public hearing and adoption of ordinance 24.25 for the industrial facility tax certificate for FC&A located at 507 Industrial Drive. Joel?
Thank you, Mayor. This evening you have a public hearing scheduled to, regarding the approval of a IFT for FC&A. FC&A is located in the industrial park. Earlier this spring, they started construction of a 12,000 square foot facility that is across the street from their current location. If you've driven through the industrial park, you might have seen that white building going up. As with all IFTs, they're requesting a 12-year industrial facility tax exempt certificate on that structure going up. This does require a public hearing. I don't know if someone from FC&A is here to speak.
I'm not, Lakeshore Advantage.
Come on up to the microphone.
Is this part of our public?
Yeah,
sorry.
well, not part of the public hearing. He's gonna go give an overview.
Well, I'm Dave Tomko. I'm here as an employee of Lakeshore Advantage, the economic development entity for Ottawa and Allegan County. I'm a resident in Park Township outside of Holland. And so we were just helping this application through and really just here as a resource if you all have questions. Looks to me like there are 2 jobs retained and 3 jobs, additional jobs contemplated with this to be put into place over the next 2 years.
Yeah. And I apologize, Dave. I'm used to seeing Greg King out there.
Yes.
So my mistake there. Sorry about that. For council, just some background information with you, just to help you recall. Lakeshore Advantage is our economic development organization that we contract with to provide economic development services. The first time I got to go on a business, I call them retention visits, when we go meet companies that are operating, was with Greg King with Lakeshore Advantage, and we went to FC&A. We spent the first 10 minutes talking to Brian of FC&A about his disdain that we converted an industrial park to a storage unit park. But then, after we got through that conversation, we were able to talk about their future growth, got a great tour of their factory. Something that Michaela pointed out is Latitude 42 Brewing Company in Kalamazoo. A lot of their interior work was manufactured by FC&A. A lot of, wonderful iron work that was cut out there. So they do a really, really good job They're a primary employer, which means they build stuff here and sell it outside here, which is really good for our economy. It's a good multiplier when you think of economics. I will also mention at this time that FC&A is currently working with Parker and I to create a public swing set on the riverfront. This is something that we've shared with the Public Spaces Commission. So, Bill, I stole some of your thunder when you get to the update from the PSC. So, a really good company. It's nice to see them investing in the industrial park. It's nice that they didn't choose to leave the city, but they got creative and were able to find land across the street and invest there.
Nice. Good. So.
Now
we'll
you can
move
open the
to,
public hearing.
Yeah, we'll move on to I'll open the public hearing for anyone who wants to speak on this matter. I'll open the public hearing at 7:06. Not seeing a rush to the podium. I will close the public hearing at 7:06. All right, any further discussion from council? So if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to adopt resolution 24.25.
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Abstain.
Motion passes. Moving on to item number 9, public comment. For anyone wishing to have public comment, you can approach the podium. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
I am Mike Villar. My address is 128 Hill Street and here in Allegan. And a lot of you know me, most of you know me. I am a local attorney. I'm a member of the band Strum Dumb and Dumber, and I want to thank you on behalf of the band. We've been doing 4th of July here, or 3rd of July, July Jubilee, for probably 11 years, I think now. So I thank you, Parker, for that. We do appreciate the fact that you support the local band. And I'm also a Republican delegate for the City of Allegan as well. I am, however, I'm here now to say I'm running for a prosecuting attorney. I ran 4 years ago, lost by 17 votes out of 18,000. And I hope not to repeat that. To give you a little bit about myself, my dad was a Cuban immigrant. He came from Cuba to the United States in 1956. He didn't speak any English. He came over to Miami like most Cubans did. But he made it his goal to learn how to read, write, and speak English so that he could take the U.S. citizenship test in English. And that's what he did. In 1964, he became a U.S. citizen. His name was Encarnacion Braulio Villar Rodriguez. And my name was Villar Rodriguez until 4th grade when he decided that was too long to write on a check. But one of the things my dad did, nowadays, everybody wants their kids to be bilingual. But my dad would spank me every time I'd speak Spanish because he said, "You're going to be an American." He said, "You are going to be an American." And I remember with my dad, we would stay up until late hours of the night trying to find out who would win the presidential elections, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Because my dad was amazed that in the United States you can actually vote for who you want to lead you. Because that's something he never got. Now, he wasn't a member of Castro's Cuba. He was before Castro. That was Batista, but Batista was a brutal dictator. So one of the things my dad did for me was he told me that you're going to be an American and you're going to get an education, because as a 3rd grade education in Cuba, he was always denied that. So that's what he told me, and he taught me to love our country, and I do. And that's part of why I love my country, because I saw what my dad did and what he accomplished despite his limits that he had. And that's part of why I'm doing what I'm doing now. I've been in Allegan I bought Henry Barber's old house in 1991. I raised 4 children here. I coached Little League Baseball. I coached ASO soccer. I coached AAU girls basketball for a long time. And been committed to our community. I bought buildings here in the city and try to make it a better place. And so I'm community-minded. And one of the things as an attorney that I see all the time is I see the inside scoop. Nobody gets this. Nobody sees all the things that go on. And I'm here to say that I believe there's some stunning incompetence in the Allegan County Prosecutor's Office. My opponent has been there for 6 years. 6 years ago, her budget was $1.2 million. Today, it's $2.1 million. During that same time, she started with 8 assistant prosecutors, and all 8 of those people have quit. In fact, there's been a turnover of 19 assistant prosecutors in 6 years. And the reason that's important is in the 25 years previous to that, there had been 4, maybe 5 assistant prosecutors who quit. Allegan was a place where you retired. But since she's come into office, we've had a turnover of 19. And what that results in is all these people that have all this institutional knowledge, who know the judges, know the police, know the probation officers, know the defense attorneys who you can trust and who you can't trust. They are all gone. And as a result, right now, they're winning less than 25% of their district court trials, which are misdemeanor trials. And they're winning about half of their circuit court trials, which are felony trials. So I think that there's been some stunning incompetence. She prosecuted an Allegan County deputy for a negligent operation of a motor vehicle causing death. And she used the Allegan County Prosecutor's Office to prosecute him. And he was found not guilty in about 20 minutes. So that is another thing. There's a rift between the prosecuting attorney's office and the police. So I think that with my skills in business management, because I own commercial buildings here in town, my skills in coaching and training the young people that need to be trained, I think I could turn around our prosecutor's office and run it far more efficiently and effectively. So we're both Republicans. So there's no Democrat running. So the only vote that's going to matter in terms of the prosecutor's race is August 6th primary. So I would appreciate your vote on August 6th. And if you have any questions, I'm here now. You can ask me. Anything?
Any questions?
Well, thank you for your time. I hope that's about as short-winded as I get. So, all right. Thanks, guys.
Shortest I can remember.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike. All right. Moving down to item 11, reports from boards, commissions, and city offices. 11A1, Wellhead Protection Plan June meeting.
So I can go ahead and just kick this off a little bit. The minutes are in your packet. Dave Redding, the council member, wasn't at the previous meeting, and Doug Swears isn't here tonight to go over them. That's why I said I could kick this off, but Dave, feel free to correct me if I misspeak. In the minutes from their June meeting, they went over the budget for the grant that they're applying for to re-up the Wellhead Protection Grant. And then they gave an overview, or they went over the Bridge Fest that was coming up later on that weekend. And then in the minutes, you saw photos that Doug included of the event from Bridge Fest. In those minutes, I'll point out that our own Michaela was the mascot for the water department. She volunteered her time to wear that very, very hot costume.
I didn't know that was you in there, Michaela.
It was Michaela. She took one for the team for the city staff, which was appreciated. Yeah, so the minutes are in your packet. If you have questions, we can, always reach out to Doug, or, Dave is here as well.
All right. Thanks, Joel. Item 11A2, Downtown Development Authority June meeting. I will take that one. We talked about the Mahan Park fundraiser update from Parker. We were at least at that point, we're at $11,000 on that giving, which is $11,000 more than we had before it started, so that's exciting. We talked through the Hubbard Street parking lot project and how we are now being required to have the ground penetrating radar, which is happening this week.
Friday. Correct, happening on Thursday.
Yeah. So the massive work we did 20 feet away didn't require it, but this does because there's new people in the office. So we're doing that. We talked through our wayfinding that the board, I think, unanimously reaffirmed the desire for a good wayfinding signage program for those parking lots and to move downtown. The City of Allegan has been advertising in Review magazine for the past several years, and we're trying to figure out if that was still the best use of our funds. and if we could maybe have a better use of those funds to get people down here. We talked through the downtown code enforcement, which I was a victim, a victim of, since we had a banner in our back that I guess, that, I don't know why I didn't think of it, but we're not supposed to have that, so I got a very friendly citation from the city telling me I had to take it down, which I promptly did. But we were talking through more of our code enforcement and just trying to get all of our code enforcements actually being our codes actually being enforced. And last thing, there's a downtown Allegan sidewalk sale coming up at the end of July, July 25th, 26th, 27th, and Nicole Heslip is heading up. And I think that was about it. Did I miss anything? All right.
You covered it well.
Good. All right, so moving on to item 11A3, Public Spaces Commission June meeting. Councilmember Morgan.
Thank you, Mayor. We had our meeting. Kaylee Gretz from the Allegan JC spoke about the group making improvements in the JC Park. They want to set themselves up a budget of $2,000, not from the city. They're going to raise that money for themselves to do cleanup, mostly on the Kids Kingdom, replace some boards that are bad or something, just spruce it all up. They have raised so far $500 towards it. That was as of our meeting, so possibly they've raised more. Let's see. Parker updated us on the fundraising for the Mahan Park from the Facebook page. Commission was informed of a swing concept, which Joel hit briefly on. FC&A is willing to donate the material and for the structure of the swing sets. The city has to buy the swings and the chains to hang them from.
Bill, can I interrupt real quick? Is that gonna go in the space where the tower used to be?
next.
Oh, yeah, that's where you, oh, sorry. Everybody's stealing your thunder tonight. I'm sorry, I thought you were moving on.
That's okay, no, I'm not. It's to be located where the zip line tower was. And let's see, what else? Board recommended unanimously to clean up the riverfront boardwalk. Recommended unanimously to take that up. But then we recommended the cleanup of the riverfront boardwalk railings, which would be sandblast, powder coating. Having obtained a quote to do that. Discussion also on the regarding of the spongy moths throughout the city, especially at Oakwood Cemetery, which was devastated by them. Selected Friday, September 20th as the next community cleanup at Hanson Park and behind Griswold, that area. Triangle Park at Bridge Road and Marshall Street is completed with plantings and it's starting to grow well. And the Living History Cemetery Tour was a huge success other than the bad weather. They plan on addressing that for next year, so they have such and such, so. Did I miss something?
You got it.
All right.
Thank you, Bill. And item 11A4, Planning Commission June meeting from Councilmember Galloway.
Thank you, Mayor. We met on June 17th. It was a very long meeting. It was very long. I do want to mention, we do have 2 vacant positions there. If anyone's interested in joining
A very long
such a
meeting.
very long meeting.
Not really selling it.
Right. Mainly, we talked about, well, our biggest caveat to the whole thing was that we reviewed a draft ordinance for small inns in the C1 zoning district and all residential zoning districts. The difference in a small inn and a bed and breakfast is that the residential caretaker is not required to be there. Okay, in a bed and breakfast, it is required to be, the caretaker is required to be on site. And then there's other standards where it has to have a minimum of 4 guest rooms and a maximum of 5 guest rooms. And then, it has to have its private bathrooms and different things. So we just went through all of that, moved, there's the separation of the small ends. We decided 500 feet apart instead of 1,000. And then after we went through everything and Lori got there, her son was getting married Saturday, so she was late getting there. She was on vacation, so she was a little beside herself. But after we went through everything, agreed on everything, we're gonna hold a public hearing on the draft ordinance at our August meeting. And then we went on to review and discuss the site plan review ordinance of the zoning ordinance. There's gonna be 3 tiers of a review now. And the first one is an administrative review of minor projects. So that's just gonna be Lori reviewing it and saying, yep, good. And then the second step is going to be a staff team review for uses permitted by right. So I'm assuming Lori will look at it, it'll come to staff, and it'll be good. And then the third is the planning commission review for more complex developments and ones that require zoning changes. Those will no longer be coming to council, because the planning commission's already gone through it all, Lori's looked at it all, and, they'll be good to go.
Except the rezoning part. Council still has to approve the rezonings, yes.
Yes. So, and then, I guess that was it, really.
Yeah, it wasn't that
It
long
was-
of a meeting.
Well, you're used to sitting in meetings, us people had things to do. Okay,
Can I just ask a little clarification about that site plan? review?
site plan? Yeah.
The tiering? So you're saying that none of those site plan reviews will come forward unless there is a rezoning required, is that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
So typically, like now, we have to approve
Yep.
any site plan review? Or
so city council right now, you have to approve all, we're mixing some terms here. You guys have to approve all special use permits. And those also, in the new ordinance, the planning commission is gonna recommend that those just be reviewed and approved at the planning commission level. The site plans, if they're really minor, like, a small addition to a commercial building, that's gonna be handled at PCI. If it's, a use by right, and it meets all the zoning, that's gonna be approved by the staff review team. And then if it's a complex review, which requires like a rezoning or a subdivision, which we won't have many subdivisions because we just don't have developable land in the city limits, that would go through the planning commission, and rezonings go from planning commission to city council. That's per the Michigan Planning and Zoning Enabling Act. And then what we discussed a little bit, but we were talking about site plans, also special use permits are gonna they're gonna recommend that they stay at the planning commission level.
Okay. Thank you for that. I'm just gonna suggest that we have some training for planning, especially with the 2 vacancies.
Yep.
I know from just my time on planning, it took quite a while to kind of get the gist of everything and.
It's a good idea.
So yeah, some training for that, especially if it's gonna stay there.
Yeah.
I did voice an opinion that my concern was when something new happens in the city, usually comes to council when it's not right or they have a complaint. My concern was it stopping at the planning commission and us not knowing. So staff said they'll come up with something, and/or Lori, they'll keep us involved in what's going on, keep us informed on what's going on, like quarterly or something, didn't,
We talked about quarterly at first, and then like, someone on the planning commission goes, we could amend the agenda, and at the end of the planning commission agenda, it's gonna be, review of approvals by, administrative and the staff, and we're gonna list those at that level. And since the city council reviews the minutes of each advisory board during this meeting like we just did, you will see what was approved at the administrative and staff level. That's where we landed, it's just amended the agenda. It was my idea to do quarterly, and my hand got smacked.
Yeah, I think, the reason that those tiers are trying to be readjusted as so that it's more streamlined and that people aren't being held up by council just having to rubber stamp because it's already gone through PCI and staff review and planning commission review. And yeah, so we felt like if the mayor or the other council member on the board, on the planning commission, is giving a review and an update, then the council will still be apprised of what's happening, so we're not just in the dark. And yeah. Thank you, Teresa. We'll move on to item 11B1, request to approve accounts payable and payroll. Mayor Pro Tem Hans.
It's requested that City Council approve accounts payable in the amount of $525,362.81 and payroll in the amount of $119,006.81 for a total disbursement of $644,369.62. Motion to approve.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item 11B2, request to adopt resolution 24.24, authorizing the fiscal year 24 fourth quarter budget adjustments. Joel?
Thank you, Mayor. This is an annual action that City Council takes at the end of our fiscal year. Just a reminder, our fiscal year ends June 30th, 2024. To ensure that all the budgeted funds and activities and within budgeted parameters, we need the authority to make these adjustments during July and August. So we'll be making those fourth quarter budget adjustments after you adopt the resolution 24-.24.
I think we asked about this last year, but do we get those budget adjustments back to approve once we see them?
Yeah, so you get a summary report as part of our year-end finance reconciliation. So you'll see all the adjustments that we made.
So we don't know what the adjustments are now.
Correct. Some of the adjustments are, reducing revenue. We projected we're gonna bring in, $1,000 in, fines, and we brought in 800. So we have to make our budget have that final number of 800, not 1,000.
Is there a, state requirement for when those budget adjustments need to be complete?
Yeah, there's GASB standards we have to follow, general accounting standard, board stuff. We have to make those adjustments, I believe, within 60 days of the end of the fiscal year. Our audit is scheduled for the end of September this year. So Siegfried Crandall, which you guys authorized to do the audit at your previous meeting, will be here for, that week long. I think it's the last week of September they'll be here going through everything. And it's all part of that audit part that you get those adjustments. So you usually see the fourth quarter ones from the previous year and the first quarter ones for the current year at that time.
Is there a reason we don't just wait until we know what the adjustments are?
Off the top of my head, I don't have that answer, except we have to be able to move on these adjustments to prepare for that year-end audit.
All right, no more questions.
Anyone else? I will take a motion.
I make the motion to adopt resolution 24.24.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion passes. Item 11B3, request to approve the insurance counseling service agreement with Bartz Rumery Agency. Joel?
Thank you, Mayor. Each year, we sign a one-year contract with Phil Siegler of Bartz Rumery to provide insurance counseling to us. He secures the policies for us for each year, and then he is available to us all the time to answer any insurance quotes we have, specifically around claims and processing claims for us. It should be noted that this is a flat fee, and he does not receive any commission on any insurance business that the city, takes out. We've been contracting with Bartz Rumery for quite some time.
All right. there's no questions.
I make a motion to approve.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Abstain?
Motion passes. Item 11B4, request to approve the renewal of various insurance policies for the City of Allegan and authorize payment of related invoices totaling $220,221.
So Tracy and I have been working with Phil Siegler over the past several months on, securing our insurance premiums for the upcoming year, the insurance policies. We did make some what I would call some significant changes to our policies, trying to reduce our premium and control our costs. The property deductible will change from $5,000 a deductible to $10,000 a deductible. We can't remember when we've had a property deductible, claim. And so that reduced our premium by $5,000 alone. We've kept the auto comp and collision deductible at $2,500. People do ding our trucks. We do run into issues there, so we do have to pay that deductible. And then our building authority deductible is gonna change from $5,000 to $25,000, and that's gonna reduce our annual premium by $4,200. And just to help council recall what properties fall under the building authority, that would be the Regent Theater, City Hall, the Griswold Auditorium, and the Riverfront restrooms.
So our deductible goes to 25,000
$25,000 up from $5,000.
and we're saving 4,200?
We're saving $4,200
A year?
a year. Yeah, these are one-year policies.
You said we haven't had a claim in a long time, but it seems like if we had one claim, that would really wipe out our savings pretty quickly.
So for the building authority, the answer is yes. If we had to spend, if a tree falls on City Hall and punctures our roof, and we have a $100,000 claim, I'm just round numbers.
Right.
We're paying $25,000 instead of $5,000.
Yeah.
But we haven't had a claim in a very long time. And there are parks to improve,
Yeah.
sidewalks that need to be replaced. There are potholes that need to be filled in roads. That is the thinking of the city manager and the finance director. It is risk,
Yep.
management, insurance.
Yep.
The word risk is in there for a reason.
Yeah.
Joel, do you know just a roundabout estimate of what some of those claims on the riverfront restrooms are? Because we've had quite a few down there. Are they all under like that 5,000?
They're all under that 5,000, yeah. The cost, so
Oh, the drywall.
the most recent was the drywall, where we had to replace a hole from someone's fist that went through a wall. That was like $2,300, so we weren't gonna submit a claim. Whenever it's below the deductible, we don't submit a claim, because the more claims you submit, the more paperwork your insurance carrier has to process, the more high risk you become, and you just start climbing that mountain. So we do not turn those in. Most recently on Adams Street over in the Russell Robinson neighborhood, we had a issue where we were jetting a sewer. It hit a clog. Water always finds the path of least resistance. You can practice this in theory, just pour a glass of water down the street and see where it goes. And unfortunately, that water went up through someone's toilet. We had a claim for that, and we paid that claim out. Yeah, we didn't submit, they submitted a claim, and we just paid it without sending it up the ladder to our insurance company.
Right.
Because it was below our deductible.
But now that could be $24,999.
No. That would still fall under our property deductible of, 5 to 10. The building authority is just the main buildings we have.
You said what, Regent, Griswold, and,
Griswold, City Hall, and the Riverfront restrooms. Our general liability claim, that item number 4 in that staff report on page 55 of your packet, is $5,000. That deductible is staying the same.
What would be an example of like a general liability claim?
General liability is a person walking down the street and tripping.
Okay.
And we knew about the pothole in the sidewalk for more than 30 days, and they can prove we knew about it for more than 30 days, and we have to address it. One we're dealing with right now is J.C. Park, a swing set seat snapped in half with a kid on it as they were going all the way back. And it took them about 15 feet. And so we're going through that process with that, person right now. Law enforcement is now a mandatory $10,000 deductible. Any issues that deal with our law enforcement officers, we cannot get a lower deductible than that. So yeah, when you look at the total, our premiums are going up from $202,594 to $219,000. Actually, it's that 220 number. I have the old packet up. So it's that 220,221. And that's when we were waiting on our cyber insurance policy, and that's why those numbers got kind of goofy.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking for council to make a motion to renew the various insurance policies in the amount of $220,221.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution to approve the various insurance policies at $220,221.
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Abstain?
Motion passes. Moving down to Public Works, item 11E1, request to adopt Resolution 24.26, authorizing a change in the standard lighting contract between the City of Allegan and Consumers Energy.
So the City of Allegan has a standard contract with Consumers Energy to provide streetlights throughout the city. As part of the roundabout project, we need to amend our contract to include new Cobra head lighting that's being installed in that general area. In the packet, you saw the plan, you saw the amended contract. This will require a budget adjustment and a cost sharing with MDOT as anticipated. After the fact, the total cost of this is $2,944 to the City of Allegan.
Thank you, Joel. Questions for staff? I'll take a motion.
I support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item 11E2, request to authorize a budget not to exceed $1,345,752.90 for the construction and construction engineering of a 6-unit T-Hangar building at Padgham Air, I can't say that word. Padgham Field, including a budget adjustment of $253,974.12 from the general fund, and to approve the purchase order for Carbonsix Construction in the amount of $1,270,752.90 for the construction of the hangar building. Joel?
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time trying to give you a good background on why we are here now. So as you are aware, the Padgham Field is a city-owned airport. We have a 5-year capital improvement plan that we established with the state of Michigan. The super duper majority of the funding for our projects out there come from the state of Michigan and the federal government. 95% of the cost of the projects is covered by the state and the federal government. The city has to cover 5% of the costs. It's part of an annual block grant funding program that the state and the FAA have with the City of Allegan, as well as with all airports in the state of Michigan. So part of our plan this year was to construct a 6-unit T-Hangar. So those are the hangars that we have out there that the city then rents out to private flyers. We do a month-to-month lease with all of our hangars. Right now, we are 100% full in our hangars, and we have a waiting list of about 10 pilots, I've been told, that want to come to our airfield. The budget was established. They went out to bid. The bid opening was this past Thursday, and it came in $253,974.12 over what Prine and Newhoff, who is our engineer of record for our airport, established. So we have a decision to make, and unfortunately, the decision needs to be made by July 1st, 2024, per MDOT Aero. So we can make this project work. The city will provide $253,974.12 to cover this funding gap. MDOT will reimburse the city with $144,000 in 2025 BIL funding, which is a part of our airport funding we get in early 2025. And then MDOT will reimburse the city with $109,974.12 in 2025 NPE funding, which will be available in the fall of 2025. The contractor, which is the low bidder on this, is Carbonsix Construction out of Grand Rapids. They would like to start the construction in the spring of this year. But we can't wait till the spring of the spring of next year. We can't wait till the spring of next year to approve this contract, because MDOT needs to know by July 1st if we want this money or not. So we're kind of in a scheduling, kerfuffle here.
So the MDOT reimbursement, is that guaranteed money?
Yeah, so what that is, like I mentioned earlier, we get that block grant funding every year. More or less, we are going to be getting our funding from for next year and applying it to this debt. And so what happens is that 5-year capital improvement plan that I mentioned, those projects get pushed down a year. So I believe next year was fixing the hangar doors. Yeah, and then there's an AWAS system that's coming up and some animal control fencing that's coming up. So those projects just get slid down an extra year. The penalty for us not moving forward right now is the state has already paid for the engineering of this T-Hangar. So if we choose not to move forward now, we would have to reimburse the state $50,000 for that work. So
we're just fronting this money.
we are fronting this money.
We'll have this money back by
Yep,
the
we will be
fall.
reimbursed when that money comes in 2025. The first part, the $144,000 in the beginning of the year and the $109,000 later on in the year.
And then the total cost of the project for the city on the budget, is that still the 5%, or what does that come out to?
So we would be on for 5% of that total budget, so that 1.345.
That would be whatever the total comes out, it's 1.27 plus contingency is the 1.3.
Well, so that 1.3 includes the 75,000 for construction engineering.
5%.
67,000 should be the right answer.
And 65.
134. Or 1.34.
So Joel, I was taking a look at this. So we're requesting a budget adjustment for 2024, 23-24 budget year?
Yes,
Okay. So we had this on our capital plan for 2025, and we had a general fund, like, allocation amount of 700,000 for that, like the total.
okay.
But we're saying, granted, we're gonna front this 253, but our actual cost is only the 65,000. Is that, am I saying that properly?
Yeah, so when you're looking at that general fund, that includes, I'll have to pull that up on my screen here.
Yeah, so this is like I was looking under the capital improvement, so 2025 airport, construct 6-unit T-Hangar in 2025, 700,000 out of the general fund. It's there, I think it was page 93 or 115 of this budget. My memory serves me.
might be, if it was 700K, it probably was the full project, and as we all seen, the projects are not. Meaning
Right.
under
So,
budget.
and, I mean, again, this is
So it-
concerning where even Prine Newhoff was off by $250,000 with their estimate. But that's quite a bit less than what we had projected for it out of the GF.
So then it would be, if that was 700,000, and it would be approximately 5% would be our actual cost.
So you were saying that that budget was the entire
That's what I'm saying, because it wasn't
balance,
700,000.
not just our,
Are you saying 70 or
percentage.
700,000?
it's 700 on here,
Oh,
on the
yeah.
budget.
That has to be the full project, because that can't be, because, no, I think it was probably, budget at 700, but you'd have to look to see if in the budget it also would have the.
But it's, there's nothing under like the actual, like in the budget,
Yeah,
so,
Yeah, it's just saying the T-Hangar
it just, yeah,
700,000.
it just says the 700,000, so.
that's the CIP, right? Yeah, if it was a CIP, it
In
would
the
probably
budget.
be the total cost of the project was estimated at that.
Mhm.
And then at that would be 5%, which then would mean 35,000,
Rather than the 65.
well, it would have been 35 rather than what would be 65 now. So it still would need a budget adjustment to go from that 35 to 65, is what I'm wondering. Because I see these budget adjustment because we're saying they're going to reimburse us for
Right,
future
right.
years. But we'll also need a budget adjustment for that increase of,
Yeah, because the goal, like in the budget for this year, was that there would be construction in 2024. So under our fiscal year 2025 action plan for the airport was to complete design phase and associate tax, oh, well, wait a minute. Oh, and construction in 2024 of the T-Hangar, so.
Yeah, so for the construction of the 6-unit T-Hangar and the construction for the taxi lane, which is all part of this, we were getting $665,000 in grants for the T-Hangar and $169,000. Those are the two 5%. Our annual cost was $35,000 and $8,900 for that airport. And then we're also setting the money aside to do the design of, and to replace the hangar doors at $18,000.
Wait, one more time on the grant, I got 665 and. were the-
665, 169, 176. So 665 is one of them, and then 169,000, 176, and then 17,000.
Okay, so those grants are above and beyond these two.
No, that's part of
reimbursement.
this program.
that was the original anticipated amounts.
Okay,
the
so,
total
like the actual proposed budget for capital for the airport is 804.
Yeah. And then the site work, which was assigned to the 2024 part, that grant was 156,818.
I guess what I'm trying to get to is the question you asked, Peter, I've kind of got the same one. If the project costs $1,345,000, how much do we have in grants total?
The 95% total?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out, like, I'm hearing 665 and 169, I don't,
I think those were the original estimates, was the 665 and the 169, and then this is where it's come in at this 1.2, which includes also the taxiway, or 1.3.
Yes.
And this is the total project cost, but we have the 95%, which is the Fed and the state. But what I'm looking at is that increase of project cost is still gonna need gonna need an adjustment, because if we're assuming 35 and now we're going to 65, that's a 30,000 adjustment. That would be an addition, budget adjustment needed at some point.
but I heard a 665 grant, and that would be 95% of the original total. So, like, when do we see the commitment? I'm seeing 253,000 committed from the state on these. Is there another set of commitments so I can go, here's the total cost minus the dollar grant money we've got?
Well, that's why MDOT's asking us to pay an additional 253 and then be
equal to 1.3 million.
1.3 million.
Yeah, the 253 plus 665, you're still short quite a bit, like almost 400K.
So what you're seeing here is the email that we received from John Van Dynen. John is our engineer of record for the airport. The City of Allegan, as an airport sponsor, needs to choose an engineer every 5 years. They're qualified, through MDOT Aero. This is the email he sent us Thursday evening. The low bidder came in at 1.2 million and some change. The construction administration is 75,000. I think when you add those two, that's how you get to the 1.3 we're at. And then John is saying the shortfall between what we've set aside for this project from our grants is, and what the city was gonna contribute, that 5%, was 253,000. And so that's where John is saying the city has to set aside 253,000 to make this project a reality. And then we are gonna get reimbursed what we showed on the other screen through those two funding sources next year to pay us back what we're set aside. So Peter's correct. We still are gonna we're gonna be responsible at 5%. They're not gonna cover the whole thing. But, so there's gonna be a little bit more savings for us for other projects and grant funding, when I say savings.
So in essence, it's cutting into the future years, any NPE and BIL, which are the funding sources, the grants.
So is it that we maxed out our NPE and BIL this year, and so now this 253, is it getting, the confusing thing is it sounds like the 253 is getting reimbursed at 100%. Is that accurate?
That's probably not accurate,
Okay.
yeah. The 253 is gonna be reimbursed up to 95%. We're still gonna be we're still gonna be on the hook for 5% of that.
The amounts,
But we're responsible for 5% of the total construction cost.
Correct.
And so it's not just that, so
Yeah.
that's where we came up with about 65,000. And before, when it was estimated around 700,000, then we were responsible probably for closer to that 30,000 or 30,000, 35 instead of 65. So it's gonna be probably a 30,000 budget adjustment is what I think.
And so, just real quick, the way we did the airport funding, and you guys see our CIP funding through this thing. In 2024, the design cost, you can see that, right? Okay. And this is where I should have said, when Tracy said, I'm going to be with my aunt, I should have said, you can come back to City Hall. The design is 55,000, okay? That's what we did. You guys see that line right there? Okay, row 113. And now you get to see how sausage is made. And then we go down to this next year, 2025, for the airport. The construction was 700. The taxi lane right here is 178. This is the grant funds, and this side right here. This project's gonna go on hold, replacing, hangar doors, the design of replacing hangar doors, because we're gonna have to eat that money into the new construction. So, yeah, we're gonna be on the hook for 5% of this total cost. If we don't move forward, we're gonna have to reimburse the state that 50-some thousand that they paid up there.
and not get a T-Hangar.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so it's almost half a dozen one.
Yeah, and one other thing. Peter reached out to me via email before the meeting about what do we think the rates are gonna be for this? That we don't know off the top of my head. I can't answer that question. Our current hangars that are of this quality and albeit about 20 years old, they are going up to 190, I believe, a month, starting in July. So you guys raise those rates. These will be brand new. These will be probably in the low 200s. So 6 times 200 is 12,000, or 12,000 or 1,200. Times that by 12, you're looking around 14,000 a year that we're gonna be getting in revenue starting next fall when we move forward with this.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. So if we're on the hook for about 65K, total project cost 5%, I want to know what our rent is, so I can kind of figure out an ROI, which would be probably between 4 and 6 years, because we'd also have maintenance and electricity that we'd have to cover for that time.
Correct.
That's just, I just didn't want to see us blown out like, oh, this is 30 years and we'll never make the money back.
I just don't think we can give up all this grant money.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, we have to pay $50,000 if we don't, so, or 65,000 and we get a T-Hangar, so I don't see, not really a choice in my mind,
And it's been part of the capital improvement project for
yeah,
Just pushes the
years.
other capital improvement down the line.
pushes it back, yeah.
But most of those are things that are not at extreme priority, meaning an AWAS. We haven't had an AWAS. It would be nice for having commercial operations. And then the fencing for animals.
And that's just been in the talk forever, so.
So but something that actually starts making money back in the future in 5 to 6 or 7 years, you're actually starting to actually bring some more income into the airport, is how I kind of view it as. You're spending the 65 and hoping to get payback, plus start getting something back in to maintain the airport after that.
And the hangar doors?
Hangar doors will also be a maintenance, so that's where you're looking at 14,000 a year that we're getting in rent for 6 units. And there's gonna be things that, yeah, we're gonna have to do maintenance on. That's why I said I figured 4 years, that's why I said it could be 4 to 6 for initial return, and then you're gonna have to look, of that 14,000 that you're making a year on it, you're gonna probably only actually be taking in 8 after you look at all the other costs, 7, 8, but.
I'm thinking about the hangar doors that need fixing now, like people are renting these places. And I remember at one point, the chair had come in and said, yeah, these hangar doors are in rough shape, you can't really lock them. So are those gonna, we talked about bumping those down, are people on the board aware of that? Like, is that?
No, because we haven't had a meeting since this came in. This is the first I've seen this change of changing the.
Yeah, this bid opening was Thursday.
So-
That email we got from the airport engineer was Thursday at 5:04,
So
4 hours after your packet was sent out.
I'm sure they'll be okay with a year delay on the hangar doors. It's not that they're not usable or being functioned. Those were a maintenance item that was brought up by the airport board saying, hey, we've done some fixes, and it was brought to Doug that some of the renters even did some of their own repairs. And he said,
Right.
hey, come take a look, see if you guys could do something like this.
Just want to make sure, because people are paying rent on those buildings, we're not like slumlords for the, airport hangars and keeping them in
Our
good
rents
shape.
are well within and reasonable rates. We've actually looked at neighboring airports multiple times to try to keep them in good rates, to keep them, not too high that we have vacancy, but not too low that we're not really maximizing our return on it so that we're not being able to cover our own cost. So I think we're being good stewards of that. And there is, from the airport board, the last time I was there was people talking that there is tons of people out there looking for hangars currently.
Again, my question was just making sure people's doors get fixed on what they're renting from us. So I just want to make sure that doesn't get lost.
Things just, goes a year down, but
Taxi line construction.
All right. So
This is the
if all
one
our
to-
questions have been answered, well, I'll take a motion.
This is right there, dude.
Anyone?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Been tentatively moved and seconded. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Phew, that was scary.
Motion
I went to sleep on
passes.
it.
Moving down to item 11F, city manager and city clerk. Item 11F1, request to authorize the codification agreement with American Legal Publishing for the codification and online code hosting services and authorize payment not to exceed $10,000 for these services.
I will
Kayla?
take this one, Mayor. So after we got probably about halfway through the process of updating the ordinance chapters, Joel asked me to research companies that are comparable to Municode, which is a subsidiary of Civic Plus. And that's the company that we currently use. Just to kind of see, what other services there are, whether they might have some features that Unicode isn't currently offering us. So I did some research and I connected with this company called American Legal Publishing. Locally, they work with Hopkins Township, I believe City of Douglas as well. And so they work with around 4,000 municipalities, I want to say. It was in your packet, I believe. But regardless, I also reached out to Unicode to see, what the cost would be to recodify our ordinances now that we've gone through the complete process of updating those chapters. And Unicode came back with the figure of $10,325. And that does not include the annual cost of $950 to host our code online. So the estimate that I was given from American Legal Publishing to get us all up and started, it would cost $8,395. And then every subsequent year after, it would only cost us $595 to do the online hosting of our code. And they're very user-friendly as far as the format of the code. Everything is searchable. They also offer a service, I do believe it's at an additional cost, to have all of our minutes scanned in so that those would also be searchable. And they will provide physical code books for us to have on hand, which is awesome. They projected that it would take about 15 days anytime council adopts a new ordinance for them to update our code online, as well as mail like an addendum to our code book so that we stay up to date not only online but also in our physical book. I know that it's been quite annoying to not only staff but also residents that they currently go online, try to look at our code, and everything is very disorganized just because nothing's been codified for so long. So after getting, the estimate from Unicode and also discussing with American Legal Publishing, we are recommending that we move to American Legal Publishing. Before codifying, it's notable that they would have not only a team of people with degrees in English, but also a team of lawyers would go through all of our chapters to make sure that we're compliant with Michigan law as well as federal law, and that, there aren't any silly, mistakes in wording and such in our code. So it kind of gives me some peace of mind to know that they would do something like that. And so that's one reason that we feel comfortable moving to them.
Great, thank you, Michaela.
Right now, City Hall staff just keeps up our ordinances and stuff, right? Yeah.
Yes, we have a physical copy that's stored in my office. And then we send supplements to Unicode as they come up. And they do charge for updating, and so does American Legal Publishing. It's $22 a page. But rather than paying for, the entire chapter to be updated, we would only have to pay for whatever section of that chapter is actually affected by that new ordinance, if that makes sense.
Any other questions for Michaela about this? All right, it's actually great. It's
Yeah.
it's a nightmare right now trying to find anything in there,
Well,
unless you're Peter.
I can find it, but the problem is it's out of date. So then you gotta
Yeah.
go under the ordinance that are passed and go all through that to find what's current. So I'd like to have it recodified properly. And I looked at their system looks fine for searching. I see Plainwell, East Grand Rapids,
I know.
a lot of people around use it, and it's very similar to Municode, that you can just do a search for a term, and here's all the ordinances that have it, and you can go right to the section, so looks fine to me.
And it's worth mentioning that our plan is also to integrate the zoning ordinance in as well, so it's not just a floating PDF on our
Yes,
website,
please.
so that everything code-wise will be all together.
So this, would
Nice.
that be in this 10,000, or is that in the future?
That's in the future.
You gotta ask us, I'm like, that's a lot of pages.
All right, anything else? I'll take a motion.
I move that we change to American Legal Publishing.
Support?
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion passes. And we'll move down to item 13, communication from city manager, council, and mayor.
Yeah, I have two things to update council on. First of all, as you know, we are doing a fundraising campaign. We got some good news. We found out from the MEDC that they will allow us to include the grant from Consumers Energy as part of a donation. Max is 10,000, so.
Still.
Yeah, that is really exciting, but yeah, so I anticipate by the end of this week, we'll be at, $25,000 raised. Right now, we're at 14,000. When we add consumers of 10,000, that gets up to 24,000. Got a phone call from a lady who's the president of she's the president of a family foundation in Los Angeles. She's from Chicago. They have a house on Lake Allegan, but they live in Los Angeles now. And they were having breakfast at Minnie's on their little summer vacation to Allegan, saw this. And she's talking to their corporate counsel to see can their foundation give to this, which is an interesting connection that someone who's from Chicago, has a house on Lake Allegan, but lives in Los Angeles now, wants to find a way to support this project. So this is moving forward. We are coming up on our midway point. The clock runs out on July 31st. You'll see some promo material from city staff around July 3 to get another boost going with the funding there. Another thing I need to talk about is I was informed last week that we will be receiving a $99,000 grant from USDA for the Hubbard Street parking lot. So just like the Mahan Parks general fund contribution has slowly gone down, we've been working hard to find funding for that project as well. I have shared with council before that we've received positive reviews so far from Gary Peters' office and our request for funding for the Trestle Trail Bridge. We hope to hear something in June or July is what they said. We're coming near the end of June, so hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I'll have some positive news to share on that one as well. And then the final thing is in regards to housing development. Alan Edwins has come to a purchase agreement with Pete Morse on 500 Delano. That's a property I've been working for the past several years, probably my entire time I've been here as city manager, trying to get residential development going on that property. So Planning Commission should be seeing something in August from Alan Edwin for development approval. And then that will probably come to council because it's probably going to be a rezoning request to take advantage of the new master plan. So that's a positive
Yeah.
news. That's all.
Great, thanks, Joel. Parker?
Yeah, just a reminder that July 3 Jubilee is coming up next week, Wednesday. I believe Michaela's been in contact with the council about participating in the parade. I'm sure she will reach out with a reminder again. But parade steps off at 5:30 from the Cutler Street parking lot, just beyond this wall here. And then the rest of the festivities will follow. We've got food, live entertainment lined up, and then, of course, fireworks at 10:15 along the river. So should be a good time.
Great, thanks, Parker. Kayla?
Just one note from me, nominating petitions for council are due July 23rd at 4 PM. So we're just under a month now before those are due, so I just wanted to put that out there. If you do know of anyone that's still interested in picking up petitions but hasn't, had a chance to come down, I do have them available at my office, so, thank you.
Great. And we do have enough for council members for the parade float. We're actually going to do it.
Correct.
Good. Dave, anything?
Last meeting I was here, we had a discussion about 543 Trowbridge. I think you were gonna look up if PCI had inspected them yet.
Yeah, so I got an email in the PCI, and I'll forward that to you, Dave. I did not get a response yet. I will follow up with you this week. I apologize.
In general, for that rental ordinance, do we have any idea, like, how far we've gone? I know we've put that budget piece forward.
Yep. I would say they're making their way through the list. They are getting a lot of people who are just rejecting and refusing to allow entrance or acknowledge that they have a rental unit. Most recent is, there's some legal issues we're going through. If the house is in the state and the grandson lives in the house, is it a rental unit? If he's paying grandma, I say yeah. So we're going through that with our attorney on, is that a rental unit or is that not a rental unit?
So like percentage of inspections completed out of all the rental units?
I can get that report to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I
thank
don't have
you.
that off the top of my head, sorry.
On the PACER rating, I know there was a brief discussion at the last council meeting. Do we have any update on that? Are we gonna have a program for addressing those roads?
Yeah, we're gonna be doing a presentation to council at your July 8th study session on the PACER rating. That's one of the agenda items.
Okay. For the trestle bridge design, I know we'd allocated 50K for that. Is that, I haven't seen anything coming out of public spaces lately on that. Are we gonna get started like next month, just on the design?
We haven't heard anything at any of the meetings that we've had, no.
Okay.
No, they haven't discussed that yet, right? Nope.
Okay, so hopefully something on that, not too much longer here. On the Girl Scout development, that, I know there was some discussion I watched at the last meeting, feedback from the community, and then I think Councilmember Galloway had asked a question about like, okay, if we all decide that we want a reduced, or we agree to a reduced scope of development, how do we enforce that? What's the process for that?
Do you remember your question? That's okay.
I think what I said was, once we sell it, how do we know that the developer will stay within our,
Correct.
and I think you said it
Yeah.
would be in the.
Yeah, so you have a purchase and development agreement with the developer with an agreed upon site plan. So similar to when we sold 101 Brady to 102 Brady LLC, that purchase and development agreement says it has to be a hotel for a minimum of the next 25 years. So they're locked into a hotel there. So with this one, we'll have an actual site plan that's laid out, that's been approved by the planning commission and city council through the rezoning process, because that's also gonna have to go through a rezoning process. And then we'll sell it after they get all their approvals.
So we'll do
And that
the-
site plan will be an addendum to that purchase and development agreement.
So we won't sell the property until we've got that locked in for that
Correct.
particular sale? Okay.
Correct. That's the typical process that municipalities follow, or even private companies follow when they sell something.
Oh.
If they want to dictate what is the final, design of that lot.
Okay. And then just a general process question. If we get sued as a city, does council see all those lawsuits? Like anytime we get sued as a city?
So when we are sued as a city and someone files a lawsuit against us,
Right.
we do not share that with council until we are at a point where we need council to make a decision of something. And there's a difference between a lawsuit being filed against the city of Allegan and someone submitting a claim to our insurance company.
Right. And we don't see the claims either, because.
You do not see the claims on the AP that you approve. You might see payouts that might go out if they go out from the city to a specific person, and you can inquire about that stuff, but you do not see our insurance claims that go out from our insurance agency.
That's all for me. I'll actually not be here for the next meeting either. Last time it was a work trip. This time it's family trip for the first 2 weeks of July. So, be absent again at the next meeting. Thanks very
On
much.
vacation.
Yes, yeah, looking forward to it.
Mike, anything from you? No. Teresa?
I got a few things here. They're more just kind of questions. You know, we're really dinging the residents, watching the blight and stuff for residents in the city. As I look at Parker and he's ignoring me. The industrial park has some areas that look really bad, like around our famous storage buildings, along I would call it the north side, between the transportation department and the new storage buildings.
So when you say look at bad, do you mean
Not
grass?
mowed, yeah.
Okay, so it's long
not
grass?
mowed,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know
Parker's taking a
if,
note.
I don't know if, there's one part there by between J and J and the Rivertown Exercise Center. There may be a pond there or something. There may be water there, but that looks really bad. So I don't know if obviously people own them, because we don't own any more land there, right?
Correct.
So, just something to take a look at. And then, tonight I noticed there was cars parked the wrong way on the street.
So my deep sigh on that is a constant text message I have with our police department
Okay,
and conversation I have with the police department. If you see a car parked the wrong way, you have to stop, unless you're responding to a call.
right.
If you're responding to a call, respond to the call. But we've got to let people know it's not safe when they park against traffic.
Well, and because I know we took a lot of parking spots away from minis, and some of the guys were parking on Water Street, and they have been reprimanded several times by the police in the restaurant for parking that way. And then I drive up here tonight, and there's cars parked the wrong way, right in front of here. Yeah. And then, as I was sitting listening to music tonight, I know we talked about this one time, cigarette butt receptacles.
Okay, so,
Are
yeah.
we,
Parker, you got it?
Yeah, yep. So we've got 30 trash receptacles, and we ordered 15 cigarette butt receptacles, and they are displaced. Most of them or dispersed, excuse me, thank you. Where we've got a duo of a trash and a recycling, that's where you'll find the cigarette.
is there one on the there obviously must be one on the plaza then?
That's correct, yes, there is.
Okay, I seen a lady walk right behind Minnie's and put her cigarette butt right on the sidewalk and put it out.
That's
So
unfortunate.
they're going to, it is a big pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
So I didn't notice that there
Nope,
was one
no
there,
problem,
so,
no
okay,
problem.
all right, great. Thank you very much. That's all for me.
Thanks, Teresa. Delora?
Speaking of music downtown, I was doing my little meet and greet, perusing and walking around, and it was hopping tonight. It's awesome to see all the music and all of the people, lots of long lines and everything, which is good for the food trucks, not so much for people waiting in the heat. So thank you so much again to staff for all of that. And then I actually just had a question for Councilmember Redding. I have heard from a couple people that you guys are contemplating moving, and I don't know if that's something that is just a rumor, or if you wanted to address that, or somebody mentioned it even at a public meeting, so.
No, I didn't really want to address that.
Okay. Well, just as council, we would just need to know, because we'd have to make an appointment by our charter, and I don't know with an election year how that would work, but,
If I need to resign, I'll let you know when I do.
awesome.
Thanks, Delora. Bill?
Nothing serious, I heard. I've heard that Bubba's had sold.
So, in my role, I am given lots of confidential information. Yes, Bubba is sold. The person that purchased it asked me not to share that they purchased it.
Well, then how does everybody know?
You know, small towns,
Yeah, that's true.
bad gas travels fast in small town. So,
That, and enjoy the July 3rd Jubilee, everyone. That's it for me.
Thanks, Bill. Peter?
Only one thing. Parker, did we decide how those receptacles for the cigarette butts are gonna get emptied on a regular basis?
Yeah, Brian and I.
I didn't know if it was something that we're assigning to the DPW, something that we're,
Yeah, so Ryan and myself, we take care of the recycling receptacles. There's 15 of them throughout the town. The trash gets emptied by Republic Services once a week, every Wednesday, and our Department of Public Works crew goes around and empties it on Mondays before Fork in the Road, Tuesdays after Fork in the Road. Republic gets it on Wednesdays. They sit on Thursday. They get emptied Fridays before rolling on the river, and then Saturdays after rolling on the river. So our garbage is constantly picked up. They're basically left on Thursdays and Sundays. Ryan and I hit the recycling kind of on an as-needed basis, but when we see that a couple are getting full, we usually hit the full circuit, and at that time is when we do the cigarette receptacles as well.
and that was it for me.
Thanks, Peter. Only thing from me is, I sent out an email late this afternoon, about, city manager evaluations, it's that time of year. So I sent, in sets of two so that I didn't violate an Open Meetings Act. But I, sent out the, evaluation form, so, please take a look at that. I asked Michaela to put it on the July 22nd agenda. We'll go into closed session for that, but if you'd all take some time and put some work into that evaluation so that we can give Joel a good evaluation. And then,
You want it done for the July, hold on. You want it done for the July meeting?
yes,
Okay,
July 22nd.
okay.
Got a month.
All right then. It's,
I guess so. Gonna get writer's
I
cramp?
can't get it all written in a month.
All right, that's all for me. So I will adjourn the meeting at 8:22. Thank you for making it through the entire meeting, the Villars.